Ladies and gentlemen, we are here, finally, to put on the Rade Garage second tank that goes under the seat there. Had this for quite a while, just haven't had any time to put it in. There's that dash plate. If you haven't seen that, go check out the video I did on that. It's pretty sweet. But this will not be a detailed install video. The guys at Rade Garage did a really good job on theirs. So really all I'm going to be doing is pointing out a couple of the bits that I find difficult or that I think need to be shown along the way. Yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so in the kit, you get yourself a fuel hose and another fuel hose. The black one and the pink one serve different functions, obviously. There's the heat shield here, goes along the bottom of the tank. Got yourself a cage for the smaller replacement air box, which is right here. Get a little cloth dust shield cover thing for your new pre-oiled air filters, of which 2 are included in the kit. Get yourself a new, I don't know, the carbon fiber plasticky bit. Replaces this plasticky bit right here, and that plasticky bit does not have a hole for the fuel filler, which this one does. So should be pretty straightforward there. You get a bunch of hardware for the spacer that goes on the fuel pump, and some banjo fittings and other doodads that you need to install this, some bracketing and stuff for the tank. And then finally, tank itself. So backing up here, there you go. The filler parts here, sits in the bike like that underneath the seat. And when it's all said and done, the only thing that you can really see after this kit's installed is the fill spout that sticks up. The rest of it is pretty much hidden. There will also be a switch, basically a reserve fuel switch that gets mounted to the frame over here. But for now, this is what we got, and I'm going to start taking off the seat and some of the plastics and stuff to get it, and we'll get into the install. Alright, got plastics off, the seat off, stuff over there. Cut a bunch of zip ties holding stuff together. See if we can show you. Here, there's a sneaky, where's my finger? Right there. Sneaky upper zip tie right there, and then that tube comes all the way through this whole area, back up into the air box. Got all the stuff disconnected from the air box, so out with the old and in with the new. Okay, so I ran into a little trouble here. I think I've sorted it out, but I did want to call attention to it. I think it's important. In the installation video that they made, manufacturer made, they show the bracket in here like this, and they use this to illustrate that there's a nut welded in on this side of the steel. What they said in that video was to pass a screw through the outside, tighten it up against that nut on the inside, and place the bracket in here like this, and then use one of the nuts that they provide on the inside to tighten up the bracket to the stationary nut. Well, I got to thinking about it, and I started looking closer at the video. They're cutting between the old install video and the new install video. I'm assuming it was just an editing mistake. But the point I'm making here is that this bracket actually doesn't go that way. It goes this way. And the reasoning for that is there's 2 main reasons for that. First one, let me grab the tank here. Get it to hold still. Everything's hard plastic, so there we go. So the first thing, this is upside down, but the tank itself has this same V shape in it, and if you notice, that's bent. Well, the bend in the tank would have the bracket sitting like this, which if you flip the tank and, you know, put it back in there, that has your bracket sitting like this. So notice that the bend is creating a trough, and that the 2, I don't know what you call those, eye bolt holes, coming back and up like that. And the other thing that made me consider it might be the other way was looking at it this way. So you've got the tank here, you've got where it goes here. It rests on that orange bar, and when you line up the divot in the tank with the orange bar like that and come back to look at how the back would line up, the divot in the rear of the tank is pretty far forward relative to the rear of those two holes. So I'm betting that the bracket is meant to seat the tank farther forward rather than farther back. Anyway, I'll give that a shot and let you know how that goes, but definitely the trickiest part of the install so far. Alright, well, status update on the bracket situation. This is now much later. The bracket that was shipped with my kit was mirror image of the bracket I needed, and as you can see with this bend in the middle there, I've mirrored this one by bending the bend the other way and adjusting the end tabs, but it's kind of unfortunate that you'd even have to do that. So here I am late at night approaching a solution, and we'll see if we can't still get this tank installed. At least the tank does fit, but the bracket was really kind of a debacle, so lucky me. Well, was able to get the tank in with that inverted bracket that I installed. I had to kind of install it funky. You can see that that's a nut sticking out on this side, and at first I thought I was gonna have to go back in there and then replace that with a through bolt. Just the way it lines up is kind of funky, but it ends up being basically rock solid. I can't even move it with my hands, so not too worried about that anymore. Bracket was just kind of a cluster, but now that it's in, working on routing the fuel line down here, and then I got to do the big job of taking the pump out and, you know, reinstalling it with the spacer and all that junk. So still some work yet, but pretty confident I'll actually be able to ride with this tank setup tomorrow, so that's pretty sweet. Okay, the tank system itself is now installed. Got the carbon fiber filler cap place. I really care less about carbon fiber, but they integrated the fill spout into it, so you kind of have to replace the existing one to make it work. As you know, I had to modify the bracket down here, but it did work out okay. The only thing is that this is not actually holding this piece anymore. It's currently just the nut coming through from the other side, but not too bad. This right here is the fuel line. Comes from the bottom of the tank. I routed it through here. This is the petcock that's supplied with the kit. Right now that's off, that's on, so essentially you have rear tank only, and then rear and front tank, which basically equalizes the levels. So what I'll be doing is running this off like that until I run out of fuel or see my low fuel light. Then I'll flick this guy. At that point, the fuel from this tank will level out with the fuel that's in this rear tank, and whatever height that is, it'll be worked down until it triggers the low fuel light again, and then I'll know I've got my typical reserve distance at least on the way out. So this fuel line comes through here into a banjo bolt that is threaded into a nice CNC'd, big chunky CNC'd spacer there that's got all the ports, well, the port that you need. Only thing you have to do really is drill a hole in the plastic housing for the fuel pump down in there and the filter. Pretty straightforward overall. Now I just got to put a bunch of plastic stuff back on this thing, and then she'll be ready for adventure. Something else you'll notice when you go to put this thing back together is that this giant heat sink, whatever this module is, it mounts to these two clips, but these clips are mounted to a piece of plastic which is no longer held down because this bolt here used to go into the OEM air box. So the hardware in this kit that I got, I think, was kind of a mix of old and new generation kits for the pre-2019 and 2019 and newer sides of the two kits they offer. So I had kind of a Frankenstein list of parts, but I was left with a pair of these screws and their corresponding clips. So I'm going to go ahead and use that up. See if I can get a view of it in there. Let me see. Probably not. Oh, there you go. That tab right there, I'm going to stick this on, and then I'll basically just, I'll just bolt the plastic down to that tab with this screw, and then the tab that holds the heatsink will be held still. So it's a workaround, and honestly it's not going to matter that much because it doesn't weigh that much. So anyway, just wanted to mention it. And there it is, installed with the air filter and the tank in here, carbon fiber filler cap, plate, guard, whatever you want to call it, and then the custom dash plate that I'm also really digging for the KTM. Going on a moto trip tomorrow. That should be fun. Hey, thanks for watching this install. I know I didn't cover every single thing, but like I said, you know, they have a pretty good install video, and I only wanted to document those things that didn't quite go according to plan. So yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.